guys, welcome back to the Pulling Curls podcast. Today on episode 74, we are hearkening back to the year 2000. I was a nurse. I worked at a nursing home. That nursing home, my paychecks later started bouncing, so that's just how lucrative that job was. My husband was just graduating with his bachelor's degree in music education. We were poor. We were pregnant with baby number one. We just didn't have a lot to, splurge on a baby. So today I want to talk to you about what you really need for a baby. I think there are so many fun things to have with a baby. And we did find some fun things like at garage sales. We were definitely surfing the garage sales back in the day. But I just want to talk to you about what we really need. So let's untangle it. Welcome to the Pulling Curls podcast. I'm Hillary, your curly-headed host on the podcast where we untangle everything from pregnancy, parenting, and home routines. I want you to know that there are no right answers for every family, and I find that simplifying my priorities is almost always the answer. It's tangled, just like my hair. Okay, before we start, today's guest is my friend Valerie Trumbower. She is the smart brains behind New Parents Academy. There is a free class that she can teach you about newborns. I'll leave that in the show notes. Anyway, she is a postpartum doula, and if you guys follow her on Instagram, by the way, follow her on Instagram. She gives out so many awesome newborn tips. I cannot believe that I didn't know her back when I had newborns because it would have been so helpful. So I can't wait to introduce you for the second time to my friend Valerie. This episode of the Pulling Curls podcast is sponsored by the online prenatal class for couples. It simplifies understanding labor so you can have a more relaxed pregnancy and birth taught by a highly experienced labor and delivery nurse and can be done wherever you are, whenever you want. No more arranging busy schedules to fit in a prenatal class. Save 15% with the coupon code UNTANGLED. You can find out more at pullingcurls.com in the menu under courses or in this episode's show notes. Hey, Valerie, welcome to the Pulling Curls podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you must be pretty important because we are on podcast number 2 together. Yeah, that's how much I like you.
I'm so excited. The first time was a blast. I listened to it and I was laughing out loud, and I was there originally the first time we recorded.
That's how good it was. Okay, I will definitely link. We did our first podcast on things to know about a newborn, and it was really good. So I'm going to link that in the show notes if you guys haven't listened to it. But today we're hearkening back to Hillary circa 2000 when I had no money. My husband had just graduated college. We were having our first baby. What did Hillary circa 2000 need? Give me the skinny.
Okay, so you're having a baby. You want to buy as little as possible. So the first thing I think to remember is that big registry checklist that you're getting, online, or if you walk into a store to register, that thing includes so much stuff that you do not need right away. So I say, okay, your baby's due in, let's say May. Guess what? You don't need a convertible car seat. That's what the baby's going to ask grandma and grandpa for Christmas or something, So you don't need to be getting all of these things right off the bat. But circa 2000 Hillary is about to bring home her brand new baby. What does she absolutely need? Okay, my first thing, you need to get your baby home. Unless Hillary walked out of that hospital in 2000, you need an infant car seat and a base. So one thing that is very different than it was in 2000 is how long you can use an infant car seat for. So right off the bat, you've already bought some time before you had to buy that bigger car seat, because car seats now are holding longer, heavier babies. So an infant car seat with a base. You don't need the extra base. You could move the base to the other car, but that's my first thing, is an infant car seat with a base.
Hillary, circa 2000, I did have a car seat, just so everybody knows. And I have heard people who are like, oh, the hospital will just give you one. That is a lie. We will if you are 100% destitute, but we are going to encourage you to do everything you can to get your own car seat because they're expensive. We just don't, there's no money tree at the hospital. So bring your own car seat to the hospital, my friends.
And now, as a little side note, can I tell you that I deliver Meals on Wheels from our hospital in my little town that I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I was ready to pull out of the hospital yesterday. We've got our car full of stuff to deliver, and I'm watching watching this new family, they brought out their like teeny tiny baby in the infant seat, and 10 minutes later, they're still standing there. The nurse is in the car. People, learn how to put the car seat in. This nurse was installing and reinstalling this car seat while this baby sat there in its little seat on the pavement. So get the car seat and then know how to install it.
Officially, we're not allowed to install them.
I was imagining she felt like she was breaking some rules there. But I sat there. I knew exactly what kind of car seat it was. And I sat there and waited to see if they would get it in because they had already done it incorrectly once. I was like, okay, fine. I'm totally going to jump in. If I'm already in my mask and gloves for Meals on Wheels, I was like, I'm going in. If they need that, they got it in now. So learn. And there's free services around the country that will help you to be sure. You can call your fire department. You can call your police station to see who in your area will help you to be sure that your car seat is installed correctly.
At the very least, there are a ton of really good YouTube videos for your specific car seat.
Yes,
so please watch those because they're all different. A lot of people are like, well, you know this brand. I'm like, I don't know. And every Chico is like different. It's not like just like all Chicos are the same or they're all different.
No. Yes,
and every car is different because some of them have like humps in the middle. I don't know.
Right. So now next thing, yes, and have it installed before you go. So the next thing on my list is a stroller. But here's the thing. I don't really absolutely think you need a stroller. It depends where you're going. At the time of this recording, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. You and your brand new baby, you're not really going anywhere. You're going to the pediatrician. You might go for a walk. You or your partner could wear your baby. I have a stroller on this list, but if you are really trying to do this in a super budgeted way, I don't think it's 100% necessary.
And strollers are a great thing to buy used. Yep.
For sure. Scour the Facebook yard sale site or wherever the buy nothing groups or whatever and find a stroller there.
Yep.
Okay. So the next thing is a bouncy seat or a swing. What this comes down to, and the price difference between a bouncy seat and a swing is very different. What we're saying here is somewhere to put your baby when you're not holding your baby. Like you can't just lay your baby on the couch. Okay. So where can you put your baby? Another great thing to find on like a yard sale site or to find used somewhere.
Yeah. You can put your baby on the floor. Like throw down a blanket and put your baby on the floor. But it's hard to look at them that way when you're doing the dishes. It's nicer to have a bouncy seat or swing so you can chat.
Right. And that brings about like, do you have a cat? Do you have a dog? Okay. It brings about some questions. But yes, so somewhere to set your baby. And then if you're planning to breastfeed, I think it's nice to have a nursing pillow. It's not, is it 100% necessary? It's definitely not. But I think breastfeeding, without a doubt, is really challenging in the beginning. So if you can get that baby up to be at the level he needs to be at in a comfortable position, so you're not hunching over to help breastfeeding to get off to a good start here, a nursing pillow is helpful.
Yeah. And also another one that you can get from a friend because the covers are washable or from a used thing. So you don't feel like you can't get that one used.
For sure. And a lot of these things like the swing or the bouncy seat, your friend doesn't need to be done having babies. You're not saying, can I own this forever? You're saying, can I borrow this for 4 months?
And newborn stuff just doesn't get used very much. So I always wanted to spread the newborn stuff love out so that it got used.
For sure. Next on the list, I have a play yard, but it could be wherever your baby is going to sleep at night. I say a play yard rather than a bassinet because the long term, you're going to get a lot more wear out of a play yard. You're going to the beach with your 2-year-old, not to the beach, but sleeping over somewhere, you're bringing that pack and play. Play yard's the overall term, but that your brand new baby can sleep in that pack and play next to your bed instead of a bassinet. You don't need like the super fancy bassinets, although some of them are very nice.
Oh, and expensive. That's new. That's a dream bassinet. And ask around on Facebook because a lot of people have a bassinet. I think a bassinet's easier because you don't have to bend over as much, but I always had a pack and play even when we were poor.
And with the pack and plays with the bassinet level, you're not really bending over as much as like the full on.
Also, we had a very tiny house and so bassinet fits better. But there's almost always somebody who has one that's like, yes, please take mine because I spent $100 on this thing that I use for, a month. So, yeah.
For sure. And sheets for whatever that thing is that the baby's going to sleep in. So the next thing is the swaddle blankets or swaddles or sleep sacks. However you're going to swaddle this baby, I think there's a lot of really great swaddling options on the market that, they are $20 or $30 each. So it is considerable. Could you get away with just having 2 of those? Yes. Could you just get swaddle blankets? You could. But you're swaddling that baby because that baby's used to being nice and snug in inside the belly. The startle reflex is a real thing. You watch that baby slap himself in the face and wake himself up, and you're going to be out there looking for a swaddling option. So you want something to be able to swaddle the baby.
And they make it so much easier to swaddle. I mean, the nurses in the hospital, I never bought a swaddler because I knew how to swaddle, but it is a skill that most parents don't have. I have so many friends call me crying, can you come show me how to swaddle? Because, and even when I show them, they're like, huh? Yeah.
No.
Swaddlers make it so much easier.
As someone who's pretty much not athletic at all, I wish there was a swaddling Olympics. I feel like I'd love to go head to head with you in the swaddling Olympics, Hillary.
You might win. I'm honestly not the best swaddler ever.
Okay, so beyond swaddle, now if I just had to choose even 6 things, this would be one of those 6 things, and that is a sound machine. It does not need to be a sound machine. It could be an app on your phone. It could be you asking Alexa. Ooh, are we allowed to say Alexa? I heard things were podcasts. Okay, whatever.
Mine didn't come on.
Okay, you're asking Alexa to turn on white noise, something that gives you sound for that baby. That baby is used to being in the belly. The belly is not a quiet place, and so the baby is more comfortable when there is that white noise.
Oh, so agree. You can even use an old phone. Like if you have an old phone, just hook it up to Wi-Fi and use that. Yep.
Ooh, that's a great idea. Yes, for sure. Okay, and next is burp cloths. Or, I mean, okay, if circa 2000 Hillary was really trying to save money, I guess you could use a dish towel, but I've never worked with family that did. So I say you spring for a few burp cloths.
I bought burp cloths, just the old diapers. I didn't buy anything fancy. Cloth diapers.
For sure. You need diapers, you need wipes. That I guess is kind of a given. And bottles. You need, even if your plan is to breastfeed, you need to have at least 2 bottles. Now, probably while you were pregnant, you got a free little bag somewhere at the OB or somewhere, and there was a bottle in there. Sometimes Advent gives out a bottle. Sometimes Dr. Brown gives out a bottle. Save that bottle. That's one of your bottles. I mean, you could even just one bottle would be fine, but you want to have at least one bottle.
Yeah, and I actually recommend that people have at least a little bit of formula. It almost is like your little savior in the closet because you know that you have an out. Whereas if you don't have any and the store's closed, there's no out. Somehow you have to feed the baby.
I know.
So.
That's a tough one. Yeah, that's a tough one. So now I also have a rectal thermometer. I'm interested to hear as in your department, are you doing rectal thermometers in labor and delivery, or are you doing the under the armpit?
We did rectal for about 3 years of my nursing career. And then they decided there were too many intestinal perforations. And so we went to just axillary. Everywhere I go, we just use axillary. Now, if my baby had a fever, I might use a rectal because you really want to know what it is, like how high it is, especially if they're tiny. But really, you're just wanting to find out if it's over 100, which you can do with just an axillary. So
okay. A nasal aspirator. I guess you could leave the hospital with that nasal aspirator. I am a huge fan of the Frida baby snot sucker. You're not going to suck up your baby's boogers through that straw. I think it's a fantastic thing. I think it's a great use of $12, but some kind of nasal aspirator.
Yeah, they will send you, if they haven't, they should send you home with a little blue bulb suction device, which you can use, but the Frida is easier to use.
And easier to clean. Who can clean a bulb suction?
There is no cleaning the bulb suction.
No, there isn't. Okay, and is my list too long, Hillary?
No, I mean, the reality is that you're bringing another human into your house. I mean, would you be able to live with just 10 things? I mean, maybe. I guess
I think there's a show about that right now.
I know.
We're going to start watching.
We're just saying minimalist. And some of these you could obviously do without. You could not have a pillow, but it's going to be so much easier. What we're trying to say is whittle down that list that they give you that, you need the wipe warmer and you need the blah, blah.
No,
you don't need all those things. So we're just telling you really what's so important. Yeah. But
you don't
baby
even
could literally live in a box with a diaper. So you just need a box and a diaper, I guess, if you really want to go minimal. And I guess you could use toilet paper for the wipe, but
okay. Yes. So that's the list, those 3 things. So this is another one that you absolutely don't need, but will it make your life easier? A baby bathtub. Another great thing to find on a Facebook yard sale site. I know that everybody's mom pictures washing their baby in the kitchen sink. It's harder than it looks, people. A baby bathtub makes that easier. Slippery newborns are kind of scary to hold. So I think a baby bathtub is nice to have.
I actually hate giving babies baths. Shh, little secret. They are slippery and And usually I have a parent videotaping me. And so I don't love that, but I'm always like, well, it just feels, it's awkward. So it totally makes it easier. Reminder, you won't put your baby in that bathtub until their umbilical cord falls off. Little tip.
That's right. Yeah. I talk all about that. Am I allowed to say I talk about that in my free online workshop? Link to that.
Yeah.
Link to it. So that's one of my 7 things. I have a workshop, 7 things new parents learn the first week home with their baby. Don't get their belly button wet. You're not giving them a bath. Sponge bath, people.
Mine peed on hers and it smells so bad for so long.
Okay. And let's see. I'm going to say pacifiers is my last must have.
Well, I think a lot of people, pacifiers have gotten a bad name, a bad rap, but they can save you and they're a sleep thing. Do you tell most of your clients to use a pacifier?
Well, people are scared that like our pacifiers, this dirty little habit. And when I walk in someone's house, are they like pushing it underneath? They don't want me to know that they're using it. Absolutely not. Like, remember that this baby is used to living inside the belly. We've already talked about the baby's used to being in tight quarters. It's noisy in there. And guess what that baby's been doing? He's been sucking on his hands for the last, since he got hands, whatever week that was of pregnancy. So he's used to sucking is a natural thing for babies. So that's why it makes sense. Now, if you're breastfeeding and I tell people you really, really want to limit that pacifier, if not just to not even use it until breastfeeding is established and you're seeing the baby's weight move in the right direction. You don't want to mistaken that, well, my baby's happy over there in the corner sucking on his pacifier when really you're missing those cues that the baby's hungry. And as a result, the baby's weight is dropping. So I think that there's, in the very beginning, in the first couple of weeks, you want to be careful about that pacifier, but it's not something that you don't want to have. I remember I had read all these books. I try to prepare as I'm welcoming my first child. And I was like, we're not using a pacifier until she's 4 weeks old. The first night home, I'm ripping open every package. We had 3 different kinds. And I'm just trying to get her to take a pacifier because at that point we were all crying in my house. So as with everything, show yourself grace. And, it might not end up as exactly what you thought it would look like, but use that pacifier just a bit in the very beginning if you're breastfeeding.
Yeah. And pacifiers, I think, got a bad rap in the hospital because people are like, don't give my baby a pacifier, but we have them. You can ask for them. Right. And the kind we have now, they used to have one that nobody could ever find ever again, but the kind we have now, you can buy on the shelf at Target.
The Soothie. So, is that what you're still? Yeah. Everybody loves the Soothie. Yeah, except those things bounce. You drop that on the floor. I've found like 5 under people's couches in the middle of the night. They're like, we can't find a pacifier. I'm down there with my little flashlight finding pacifiers. Those things bounce, but they're great. The Soothie's great.
I will say a lot of babies' suck desires vary. Sometimes, we'll breastfeed for an hour and it just still wants to suck. And I'm like, well, she needs to eat something. Mom does, So pacifiers, they're the best. A diaper bag. Like you need a bag to like carry your stuff in because you're going to go to the pediatricians on the next day. And you probably don't want to walk in with like a grocery sack.
Oh, I've had plenty of families who use, but I work with a lot of families who adopt newborns. And so those, you really want to limit what you're buying if you're not sure, when this baby will come into your life, how long that baby will be there before things are official. So I've worked with more than one family who has used a reusable shopping bag. But circa 2000, Hillary wouldn't even have had a reusable shopping bag, would she? No. When did they come out?
I have no idea. I was too poor to buy those until recently.
Now you can spring for the 99 cents. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I honestly did have, I had nail clippers on here. I'm a big proponent of do not put socks on your baby's hands. I don't know what your thought is about that, but that again goes back to missing those cues. If your baby's sucking on his fingers, he's telling you that that's a feeding cue. If your baby is sitting there with socks on their hands because you're afraid he's going to scratch his face, you missed the feeding cue.
That's interesting. I just think you do need nail clippers. You can't use adult ones. Don't think you can. Yeah. You don't. And again,
you definitely can't.
There's so many ranges on all of these things. I went to a baby show and there were like $80 like nail sanding devices. Versus like a $3 pair of like clippers at Target. Don't feel like you need the highest end of everything. You don't. You just don't.
I know it sounds like I like work for Frida Baby with my love of the snot sucker, but the Frida Baby snipper clippers are my very favorite because they cut like scissors so you can see what you're doing. People are terrified of cutting their baby's nails.
Oh, I've cut a baby's finger because it's almost just like an extension of their skin at that point because they lived in water. And people all the time at the hospital are like, could you cut those for us? And I'm like, no, it's actually our policy not to cut them because you don't need to cut them. And it's not necessary. And if we cut them, then we could just hand over a paycheck. I don't know.
See, I think there's people who hire me just to come cut their baby snails. I'm like, that was expensive for you, but okay. No, it's like, here, while you're here tonight, I'm like, sure, I'll cut you. Whatever makes your life easier. So,
although some people bite their baby's nails.
I know. And do not use an adult nail file. That's another don't. Those adult nail files are too rough for your little baby. So
I never
it'll scratch their baby. Yeah, some people try that. No, don't do that.
Interesting. So what I mostly want to say is you don't need a ton of money for a baby. I'm always surprised by how little a baby needs and how much they cost. Don't you think? Right off?
Oh, for sure. You do not need everything that's on that list. And again, remember, the baby, whatever's coming up, the christening, the baby's first birthday. What does the baby want? Like, here, the baby wants 3 more bottles.
Yeah. So and they want this kind. Yeah. And you're always going to get clothes. So don't overbuy on clothes because people buy clothes because they're fun, and baby shoes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No.
I love baby shoes. I love them so much.
I love baby feet. Just let me see those little feet. I don't even need any shoes.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Valerie.
Thank you for having me, Hillary. I want to come back for time number 3. Can I break some records here?
This will be a quarterly visit because I love getting her experience for postpartum because, again, I have blocked all of this out of my memory for the most part.
Thanks, Hillary.
Thanks. Okay, love today's episode. As always, I would just encourage you guys to buy secondhand when possible because your baby is going to use these things for such a small period of time. And if you're planning on having lots of kids and you have more money, then sure. But there were plenty of things that I bought used that I used through all of my kids. Stuff holds up, I mean, your kid's not breaking it. He's not a toddler. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this and I hope it saves you a little bit of money because it's way more important to take a prenatal class than to buy everything new. I know where you could get a prenatal class. Check it out in the show notes. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope we helped smooth out a few of the snarls in your life. We drop an episode every Monday, and we always appreciate it when you guys share and review. Until next time, we hope you have a tangle-free day.